Well, we're here at PDF 2008, the fifth PDF conference in 4 years. And it's been a hell of a 4 years. And so we're talking to people who were there early, thought leaders and thought followers, and really interested in, I'm here with Scott Heiferman, the founder and spirit behind Meetup. And Meetup had this amazing role with the Dean campaign. Nick O'Malley was on a while ago and talked about the meetup at the Essex Lounge was the real reason he got involved.
I was there too.
Yeah, and so we're interested in the day before the first PDF conference, at that moment in time, what you saw going forward, what you thought would naturally just happen, what hasn't happened, what you hope would happen, what's missing now, what you might see going forward.
Yeah. Wow, well, I actually would have thought back at the first PDF that we were going to be much more advanced now. One of the biggest regrets that I have in seeing what happened after the Dean campaign was that you had a lot of people organized and they didn't have the means to stay well organized. And I at that time I said, I'll bet you by 2008 the tools would be in place to create more durable, sustainable organization amongst people, and we've come a long way. I think there's an interesting situation going on here in June 2008, where the internet has had great influence on this election that's about to happen. But I think we're still really early days of how the tools work to give people the power to organize and do all kinds of things more powerfully.
Now, is this organization in general, or are you talking about issues and governance as opposed to policy?
I just mean how is it, I think that a greater percentage of people in the country are going to be engaged and involved and made sort of, really feel powerful. Not just, giving a few bucks here and there, or maybe even going to a house party once in a while, but how do they really engage? I mean, clearly we're the scale at which, for example, the Obama campaign is versus the Dean campaign is very much advanced, but it's still relatively small from a true kind of lighting up the democratic system of lighting up democracy.
Now, Meetup was such a big role. Can you just reminisce a little bit about that time and how politics and government has affected how big a part that is of your activities?
Reminisce about then?
Yeah.
Well, so we had launched Meetup. We locked ourselves in a room for a few months at Broadway Lafayette and Spring in New York, and said we were going to build a tool that would enable people to organize local meetings about things. And we weren't even thinking it would be politics. We just thought it would be about, we didn't know what people were going to use it for, and we were not thinking politics. Weeks after we launched, the Dean supporters started using it because they needed a way to self-organize. They used it, then the campaign jumped on it. But it was never sort of thought of as a political tool, political engine. I went to that one Dean meetup at Essex because we saw this thing imploding, whatever you want to call it. And I said, I'm going to just dip my toe. I'm just going to peek into this thing. And just like Howard Dean is quoted as saying, he really saw the future of politics in this self-organized meetup, and I think everyone got a glimpse of something of the future there.
How many meetups did that grow into, the Dean meetups at that time?
There were, I think at its peak, something around 1,000 meetup groups around the country, which this cycle was topped by Ron Paul. Even the Huckabee meetups are up there. In Italy, you've got on a per capita basis a guy named Beppe Grillo, who is sort of the Jon Stewart of Italy, who they say is going to be prime minister someday. He's got on a per capita basis many more meetups going on all across Italy than Howard Dean, or anyone in this cycle even does.
What fraction of the meetups do you think are political or kind of issues-oriented compared to the rest of your Chihuahua groups, et cetera?
Yeah, right. Everyone always kind of thought that politics was was the big part of Meetup. At its height, in the year after we launched, it was up almost 20% of all meetups. Now there are about 10 times the number of meetups going on every day around the world than at the height of the Dean campaign, and it only represents about 5. So politics only represents 5% of all meetups. So these what's the future PTAs? What's this politics is not just elections. It's not even about specific organizing around an issue. It's about people, about civil society. There being these using our right to associate. It's one of the forgotten rights we've got. It's the right to assemble, the right to associate, and that's about having institutions and structure to change things that everyday people can organize.
Terrific. One last question.
Yep.
You've got this new initiative you launched, 6 months ago?
Well, we haven't even launched it. It's in an alpha.
Oh, it's an alpha stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So talk about that and where you see that going.
Oh yeah. So one of the most powerful things you'll see at PDF, and when people talk about internet and politics, is the notion that anyone can create a network of local groups, a network of meetings and groups that are connected to one another, that are a part of something bigger, that have a sense of collective about them. That's what every movement through history has been. So what we're building is we've been about this. How do you create a powerful group? We think it's really important so that you can create a powerful local group. What's even more interesting than that is how you create groups of groups. How do you create a network of groups? That's not a new idea. The idea of chapter-based organizations, of a party or a union or an organization having presence in every city, groups in every city, meetings in every city. How do they come together, share knowledge, be a part of something bigger, be powerful together? We're making a platform for that. It's an obvious thing that it's got to be a part of the future that no one seems to be building, so we're building it.
So you're mapping something that's known, time-honored, gone on forever, to a new modality on the web.
Yeah. I mean, it's saying great. People can form powerful local groups. Now, how do those groups become groups of groups? How do they become networks? How do they become alliances? How do they become the 21st century chapter-based organization?
Terrific. Scott Heiferman, thank you very much.
Thanks.